Thanks, though. Appreciate it.
Well, let me just start right off and just ask, from your experience at the American Century Championship, what have you enjoyed the most?
I think it's meeting all the different people that you have a chance to spend time with. To me, I'm a people person. I think that's what business is all about. That's what life's all about, is getting a chance to see people that you've watched, that you've read about, that you've heard about, and you get to know them as people. Plus, the American Century Championship does so much good. I mean, they raise so much money for the Stowers Institute. Over since 2000, over $2 billion has been raised for research. There's so many wonderful things that happen that American Century does that makes it so much fun. But I'd say being there with the people, and of course the fans. We're expecting 70,000 people for this tournament, the way it's been the last couple of years, 750,000 in prize money, of which I'd like to get just a little bit. But yeah, it's terrific just meeting people.
Definitely, and obviously down there, it's always it's all about giving back and making sure you're there for charities and everything of that nature. But
Right.
there's some competitive components to it. Like, are there anybody that you go against that, or that you may meet up with during this tournament that you enjoy going against, like the competitive nature between y'all?
Well, I like competing against Jerry Rice. I felt like my game was a little bit like Jerry's, and I'm a little bit older, so my game's not quite where it is. But he's one I enjoy, sort of competing against. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick's been there, and we've had so many different guys I've played. Jerome Bettis is there, Timmy Brown. They're younger and they hit the ball a lot further right now. So I'm working on my game. I'm working on my short game, Ed. That's what I'm doing. For me, it's all about the short game and making putts. That's what I'm working on.
I definitely hear that, and I noticed you mentioned some former Notre Dame guys. Just curious for your thoughts. Obviously Notre Dame made it to the national title game. Were you impressed or just happy with the progress of the program so far?
I'm impressed, more than just happy. I think Marcus has done a terrific job really establishing a culture. And keep in mind, we've done this with three different quarterbacks. I mean, he finally has somebody, CJ Carr, will be, I'm assuming, possibly the starting quarterback. He's one of the few people that's actually been on the roster for a year or so. So there's a much greater familiarity for Mike Denbrock, our offensive coordinator, to be able to work with. Over the last couple of years, we've brought different guys in, and now it's an opportunity to be able to have someone that's been there, understand the system and the philosophy. But Marcus has done a fabulous job for us at the university.
Right, and definitely just a huge step forward with what they did last season, seeing what they could do this upcoming year.
Yeah.
I have to talk about your amazing career and how everything that you've done and how it's influenced what's going on in the NFL today. I just looking back and your MVP season, going to back-to-back Super Bowls, winning one. Can you just go through the mentality that you had in that process of going to back-to-back Super Bowls, and did it take a toll on you and the team?
I think it takes a toll because you play a lot more football than everybody else. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs. When you really look at what they've done over the last 5 years, they've played at least a season more than anybody else because of the additional playoff games, the Super Bowl, and the shortness of the offseason from a recovery standpoint, both mentally and physically. But in '82, it was a strike season, so it wasn't that long. I think we played 13 games maybe that year, 12 and one. And then in '83, it was a heck of a football team. And I didn't play personally well against the Raiders. And, I feel responsible to a degree for what happened there. But it's a matter of really having the guys come together and care about one another. Coach Gibbs was an incredible coach when it came to keeping everybody together, keeping it exciting, keeping it fun. He'd come up with different plays on Wednesday that you couldn't wait to run on Sunday because you were curious. You didn't know what they were going to do. So okay, fine, let's do it. So it's been a tremendously wonderful thing. And the other thing too in the world of football, not only for me, but there wasn't fantasy football when I played. So now there's obviously fantasy football, which creates all those fans. But we also have at the American Century Championship, we have a fantasy golf. You can go to accfantasygolf.com and check out the way we've set this up. And let me just give you a little background because it's really exciting for people that love fantasy. Everybody's going to be divided into five groups. You get to choose one player from each of those five groups, and each day there's a winner. on the 13th. Well, the tournament starts on the 11th, goes to the 13th of July. So each day there's a winner. And if you win that day, you wind up with 2 tickets to next year's tournament. If you win all 3 days and you're the ultimate winner, you wind up with a $10,000 prize to go to the charity of your choice, and you get 2 tickets to next year. So the fantasy aspect of it is a part of the game as well. And like I say, we're all divided into different abilities. Like Marty Fish and Tony Romo and Steph Curry. They'll be in one group, and I'll be somewhere. I just don't want to be in the last. Of course, Charles will be back, which is always fun to watch. Larry the Cable Guy will be there. One of my favorites is Miles Teller because one of my favorite movies is Top Gun Maverick. So I mean, it's like I'm excited. I'm like a little kid when I get around. I walk around the range and I look at people, and I watch Annika Sorenstam hit golf balls because I think she's incredible. So you try and pick up little tips, but I love being there to enjoy it. It's my 35th year out of the 36 that we've had, so it's exciting and fun.
Definitely. And I think you just kind of put your name in the hat for making sure, you're one of the people picked in the fantasy pool. So I think that was a good way of selling yourself as well on that.
I don't know. I hope so.
That's definitely appreciated. And I gotta ask, like I said, your versatility as a player and how I feel like it's influenced what the game has done today. They always talk about the players and in terms of the quarterback position and how it's evolved. There was something that I saw that really shocked me. You were returning kicks as a quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm just a little, you don't hear that often. And is that something you feel like quarterbacks today should be doing? Because it's such a
Oh,
bad thing.
God, no, they pay them too much money to do something that stupid. I returned. I did it in college. My first 7 years as a sophomore at Notre Dame, I returned punts. The first 7 games, I should say, until Terry Hanratty got hurt, and then I became the quarterback. In Washington, I returned punts actually in the Canadian Football League because I had to catch them and kick them out of the end zone, because I'm not going to get into the rules, but there was a rule that applied. And then when I went to the Redskins, I love playing. I love being on the practice field. I love training camp. I love everything about it. And this was a chance for me to contribute. So finally, against the Giants, I had a chance to return punts in 1974, and then did it again in 75 until I wound up being a starting quarterback in 78. But I always had the ability to catch punts, and I did it at different levels. And it just so happens I snuck on the field. George Allen really didn't know he was sending me out there, and he did. And so George was the kind of guy, if you could prove something to him, he'd let you go with it. And I didn't mess up the first catch, so I wound up being the punt returner, which really, the punt returning pales in comparison to my 1 yard punt against the Chicago Bears, of which I'm a record holder in the National Football League. So and actually, it's a contested title, because from what I understand, Sean Landetta at that same place in Soldier Field is credited with a -6 yard kick, but I claim that Sean never touched the ball. Therefore, it could not have been a punt. So I am the worst punter in the history of the National Football League. And so that's the title I take with me, Ed.
You take it proudly. I don't think you want to go back to the videotapes and check Sean Landetta's
No.
tape at all. No, you just take the title for it.
I tell people that, they start to clap, and I say, please, you can't clap for that. You just can't clap for that. You just can't do it.
That is great stuff. I do want to ask, obviously, you were talking about your time at Washington. They were just one win away from the Super Bowl themselves.
Right.
What are your thoughts on their progress and having Jaden Daniels as the franchise quarterback?
What a great young man he is. I mean, he's a great person. He has a great work ethic, has incredible abilities. He has just an innate ability to be able to understand situations and circumstances. And really, the one thing I'm probably more proud of him than anything is he's learning how to protect himself. Because you just can't learn standing on the sidelines. You can't learn trying in a training room trying to get healthy. And Jaden has the ability to be able to protect himself. He had that one stretch where he didn't get a chance to finish a game, but other than that, he's really smart in how to take care of himself, understands the game, does everything he can to be as good as he can be. And Dan's done a terrific job. I think Cliff Kingsbury's done a wonderful job handling the offense around him. Now we've added Debo, and there's some other pieces that have come in. Larry Tunsil's come in on the O-line. I thought the draft went really well. Didn't have a lot of choices, but they hit the spots that they needed to: offensive line, corner, wide receiver, running back. I'm excited about where this football team's going. Plus, we look like we're going to get a new stadium down in the old site, so that's wonderful too.
Right, definitely things are looking up, and what everyone's really focused on what they're going to do this year, if they're going to really be challengers, and whether or not it was a fluke. So that's always the big conversation.
Yeah, I think they'll challenge. The last 5 games last year were we won them. We won a bunch of nail biters, and the schedule's really tough. I mean, we've got the Lions, we've got the Chiefs, we've got the Broncos. We have to travel to Madrid and play Miami. When you're good, all of a sudden the schedule changes. You wind up playing division champions, and it's a different kind of a schedule. But I believe this team has tempered itself to be ready to be able to do what they need to do to be able to go. And then obviously the way the NFL has set up the scheduling, we finished the last 4 games against division rivals. You get the Giants, then you get the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Eagles in the last month. So it's going to be an interesting schedule. I think this football team is ready for it. I'm excited. The other thing, too, about our American Century Championship is the dates are July 11th through the 13th, and it'll be on Golf Channel, Peacock, and NBC. They'll have a chance, people have a chance to watch it. And I'm really excited for people to log on it. The contest starts the 23rd of June for the ACC Fantasy Golf. So it's accfantasygolf.com. You can log on and you can pick your teams after the 23rd of the month. So it'll be exciting and fun.
Oh, definitely. We're going to be, obviously pushing that and looking forward to seeing that as well. I do have like a couple more questions
Sure.
for you. Obviously, you had just mentioned about the scheduling and how things are done now with the NFL. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs having another odd schedule where they have about 8 or 9 primetime games and a game on Christmas Day and on Thanksgiving Day? Do you feel like that's a big factor in maybe affecting a football team and their performance?
I don't think it'll affect the Chiefs because they've been doing it for a while. If you were a team that hadn't been through it, I might say yes. But the Chiefs are usually they're used to being in the spotlight. They're used to playing on unusual days, 4 days rest, 10 days rest, buys, and everything else. So I don't see it really affecting them. And I think they'll come back with a vengeance. I think last year, the way the Super Bowl ended, which was similar to the one against Tampa Bay, they just got run over and dominated. And that doesn't sit well with Andy. And I know it doesn't sit well with Patrick. And I expect Travis Kelce to have one heck of a year based upon, his performance was a good one, but not to the standard that he sets for himself. So that'll be exciting to see as well.
And he'll be a guy that will be
And
in
he'll
the
be there in Tahoe as well, too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he'll be at the American Century Championship as well. Joe, I got one more question for you. Just curious, because like I said, you've been obviously following the league. Is there a quarterback today that reminds you so much of yourself while you were playing?
To be honest with you, I think Jaden does remind me a little bit. I think he has, I felt like I threw the ball pretty darn well. He's got more athleticism, more elusiveness a little bit, but I feel like the way he plays the game, and you want to play with your head as well as your body. And I see him making decisions, and I'd say, we were a little bit similar in that regard. Mobile quarterbacks, threw the ball well, got the ball out of our hands, making quick decisions, a little bit elusive when it came to be able to use your legs to, gain yards. So I'd say Jaden's a little, I'm nowhere near as good as he is, but, I did okay.
League MVP and a Super Bowl champion. I think you did more than okay. And Joe, thank you so much for your time, man. American Century Championship. Looking forward to another one. Everything that you've done contributing to the success of this tournament, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ed. Take care. Good catching up.